Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are going to be doing a deep dive into the world of ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, ChatGPT.
And we are going to be using excerpts that you sent us from Stephen Wolfram's book, What is ChatGPT Doing, and Why Does It Work?
It's a very fascinating read.
It is. And just a reminder to all of our listeners that Wolfram is the creator of Mathematica and Wolfram Alpha.
Yeah, big name in tech.
Huge name. So
Yeah.
this should be good. So let's just get right into it. What exactly is ChatGPT doing?
Well,
It seems like everyone's talking about it, but I'm still not sure I fully grasp what makes it so special.
so at its core, ChatGPT is a neural network,
Okay.
a type of artificial intelligence that learns from data. And in this case, it's been trained on a massive amount of text data.
Okay, I've heard that term neural network thrown around a lot.
Right.
Makes me think of like the human brain. Is it actually similar?
It's inspired by the way our brains work,
Okay.
but the learning process is different.
Yep.
Imagine a vast network of connections, and each connection has a certain strength or weight. ChatGPT learns by adjusting these weights based on the data it's been fed.
Oh, so it's like those connections get stronger the more it learns.
Yes.
Kind of like practicing a skill, you know?
Exactly.
The more you do it, better you get.
Exactly. The more text ChatGPT processes,
Right.
the more it fine-tunes those weights,
Uh-huh.
making it incredibly good at predicting what comes next in a sentence.
That's pretty amazing. So it's not just memorizing words.
No.
It's actually learning the patterns,
Exactly.
the structure of language.
Precisely. It's able to capture the nuances of human language
Wow.
in a way that previous AI systems couldn't, and it does this all through a process of statistical analysis,
Wow.
identifying patterns and relationships between words.
So we're talking about a system that can essentially teach itself how to write like a human just by analyzing mountains of text.
That's right, and the sheer scale of this thing is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
We're talking about 175 billion neural network weights,
175 billion.
which allows it to process and generate language with remarkable fluency and creativity.
It's hard to even comprehend a number that big.
It is.
So if I asked ChatGPT to write me a poem, for example,
Mhm.
it could actually produce something that sounds like a human wrote it.
It absolutely could.
Wow.
And that's what makes ChatGPT so fascinating. It's not just spitting out canned responses.
Yeah.
It's generating original text that reflects the patterns and structures of human language.
So for you as someone who like understands the technical side of this, what's the most impressive thing about ChatGPT? Is it the sheer scale of the data it's trained on, or the fact that it can produce such creative output?
It's the combination of both. Really, the vast amount of data allows ChatGPT to develop a deep understanding of language,
Uh-huh.
while the structure of the neural network allows it to generate truly original and creative text.
It almost sounds like magic.
Right.
But of course, there's a lot of science and engineering behind it.
Absolutely.
Now, Wolfram argues that ChatGPT's success reveals something surprising about language itself, right?
Yes, he suggests that the fact that a machine can learn to generate such human-like text
Right.
simply by analyzing statistical patterns hints at a deeper structure to language than we previously realized.
Good.
It's like ChatGPT is uncovering a hidden code,
Oh, wow.
a kind of computational underpinning to how we think and communicate.
That's a pretty mind-blowing concept. It's like we've been speaking this language for centuries,
Right.
but we're only now beginning to understand the underlying mechanics.
Exactly.
Sort of like we've been driving a car without knowing how the engine works, and ChatGPT is giving us a peek under the hood.
That's a great analogy, and that's one of the things that makes ChatGPT so exciting. It's not just a tool for generating text, it's a tool for understanding language itself.
And potentially a tool for changing how we interact with computers in the future.
Exactly. If we can understand the computational structure of language, we can create new ways of communicating with machines, eliminating the ambiguity and imprecision of our current methods.
This is all starting to sound pretty futuristic,
It is.
but also really intriguing. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves,
Yeah, okay.
let's talk about the cost of building something as complex as ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It can't just be about brilliant ideas, right?
You're absolutely right. Developing and training AI systems like ChatGPT requires immense resources, vast amounts of data,
Right.
powerful computers, sophisticated algorithms.
So it's not just about having a great idea, it's about having the resources to actually bring that idea to life.
Exactly.
And I imagine that raises some interesting questions about access and who gets to develop these technologies.
Absolutely. It's an important consideration as AI becomes more powerful and pervasive.
Yeah.
Who has access to the resources to build these systems
Right.
and who benefits from their development? these are questions we need to be asking ourselves as this technology evolves.
So how does ChatGPT actually take those vast amounts of data and turn it into something meaningful? Wolfram talks about this idea of embeddings,
Right.
which sounds pretty complex.
Sure.
Can you explain that in a way that makes sense to someone like me who's not a computer scientist?
Think of embeddings as a way of translating words and concepts into a numerical form that captures their meaning.
Cool.
It's like creating a map
Okay.
where words with similar meanings are clustered together.
Okay, so it's like a giant map of language where words are grouped based on their relationships to each other.
Yes.
And ChatGPT uses this map to understand the meaning of words and how they fit together.
Precisely. It's through this map of relationships that ChatGPT can generate such surprisingly human-like text.
Wow.
It's not just randomly stringing words together.
Right.
It's actually navigating a landscape of meaning.
That's incredibly clever, but it also makes me wonder if ChatGPT can be this good at mimicking human language.
Yeah.
What are its limits? Can it really understand the world the way we do?
That's a great question, and it's one we'll explore more deeply in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
While ChatGPT is incredibly powerful,
Yeah.
it does have limitations. It excels at pattern recognition and language generation, but it struggles with tasks that require deep logical reasoning or complex computations.
So it can write a poem, but maybe not solve a complicated math problem.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's important to understand those limitations as we continue to develop and deploy AI systems. ChatGPT is a powerful tool,
Yeah.
but it's not a magic solution to every problem.
This is also fascinating.
Right, yeah.
I can't wait to dig into the next part of our deep dive and explore those limitations further.
Yeah.
But for now, I think we've covered a lot of ground and given our listener a solid foundation to understand the basics of ChatGPT.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned for part 2, where we'll be diving deeper into the implications of this technology.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive into ChatGPT.
You know, as we were talking about the complexity of ChatGPT and how it manages to produce such human-like text, I was struck by the idea that it's almost like we've stumbled upon a new form of intelligence,
Yeah.
but we're still fumbling around in the dark, trying to understand how it works.
It's true, and that leads us to one of the most fascinating implications of ChatGPT.
Okay.
The possibility that it might be revealing something truly profound about human intelligence itself.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, tell me more.
Well, Wolfram argues that the success of ChatGPT suggests that our own cognitive processes might be more computationally structured than we previously thought. In other words, our brains might be operating on a level of computational logic that we're not even consciously aware of.
And so instead of language being this messy, unpredictable thing,
Right.
you're saying there might actually be a hidden code, a set of rules that governs how we use words and express meaning.
Exactly. And ChatGPT, by mimicking human language so effectively, it might be inadvertently cracking that code, revealing a deeper structure to language than we ever imagined.
Hold on, this is blowing my mind a little.
Yeah.
Are you saying that we've been speaking this complex language for centuries without fully understanding the underlying mechanics?
It's a possibility that Wolfram explores in depth. He calls it computational language. And he envisions a future where we can communicate with computers using a more precise symbolic language that eliminates the ambiguity and imprecision of human language.
Okay, so instead of typing in like a vague search query and hoping for the best, we could use this computational language to express exactly what we're looking for with no room for misinterpretation.
Precisely. Imagine a world where you could ask your computer a question and get exactly the answer you need without any of the usual confusion or misinterpretations with computational language. Every word would have specific meaning, like a code that eliminates all ambiguity.
It sounds incredibly efficient.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, a part of me wonders what happens to the beauty and nuance of human language if we reduce it to a set of computational rules.
That's a valid concern, and it's one that Wolfram acknowledges. He doesn't believe that computational language would necessarily replace human language altogether. Instead, he sees it as a complementary tool, a way to enhance our ability to communicate and process information.
So it would be less about replacing human language and more about augmenting it, giving us a more precise and efficient way to interact with machines and maybe even each other.
Exactly. It would allow us to express complex ideas with greater clarity while still preserving the richness and creativity of human expression.
I'm seeing a lot of potential here,
Yeah.
but also a lot of challenges. Wouldn't we need to completely rethink how we approach language and meaning to make this work?
It would definitely require a shift in perspective, a move towards a more structured and formalized way of representing knowledge. And yes, there would be challenges, but Wolfram believes the potential benefits in terms of clarity, accuracy, and computational power would be immense.
It's definitely a lot to wrap your head around.
It is.
But the more we delve into this, the more I realize just how much potential there is in AI, like ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about generating text. It's about reshaping how we think about language, knowledge, and even intelligence itself.
Absolutely. And as we learn more about how ChatGPT works, we're likely to uncover even more profound insights about ourselves and the nature of human cognition.
So as we move towards this future where AI plays an increasingly important role in our lives,
Yeah.
what are some of the key questions we should be asking ourselves?
Well, one of the big ones is how do we ensure that these powerful AI systems are used responsibly and ethically? How do we prevent them from being used in ways that could harm individuals or society as a whole?
Right, because with great power comes great responsibility, as they say.
Exactly.
As we've discussed, these AI systems are incredibly powerful.
Another crucial question is how do we ensure that these technologies are accessible to everyone, not just a few? We need to think about the potential impact of AI on the economy, on education, on healthcare. How do we make sure that everyone benefits from these advancements, not just those who have the resources to access them?
These are some big, complex questions.
Yeah.
And I don't think there are any easy answers.
Yeah.
But it's important to have these conversations now as we're still in the early stages of AI development.
Absolutely. We need to be proactive in shaping the future of AI, ensuring that it's used to benefit all of humanity, not just a select few.
I think that's a great point to transition to the next part of our deep dive. We've talked about the power of ChatGPT, the potential of computational language, and the importance of responsible AI development. Now, I'm curious to explore some of the limitations of ChatGPT. It's not magic, right? There must be things it can't do or things it doesn't do well.
You're absolutely right. ChatGPT is a remarkable achievement, but it's not a perfect system. It has limitations, and understanding those limitations is crucial as we continue to develop and deploy AI systems in the real world.
Well, let's dive into those limitations in the final part of our deep dive. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been unpacking ChatGPT and its implications, and now it's time to get real about what it can't do.
Right.
It's not a magic genie.
Definitely not magic, though. It can feel that way sometimes, as impressive as ChatGPT is.
Yeah.
It does have limitations, and it's important to understand those, especially as we see more and more AI systems being integrated into our lives.
You mentioned earlier that ChatGPT excels at pattern recognition and language generation, but where does it fall short? What are the things it struggles with?
One key area is logical reasoning. ChatGPT can follow patterns in language and create text that sounds logical, but it doesn't truly understand the underlying concepts the way a human does.
So it might be able to write like a convincing argument,
Yeah,
but it couldn't actually reason its way through a complex problem.
that's right. Another limitation is its dependence on the data it was trained on.
Right.
If ChatGPT hasn't encountered a specific concept or situation in its training data, it's going to have a hard time generating relevant or accurate output.
So even though its training data set is massive, it's still finite.
It is.
There are gaps in its knowledge, so to speak.
Exactly. It's important to remember that AI systems like ChatGPT are essentially products of their training data.
Oh.
They can only be as good as the information they've been exposed to.
This all makes me think back to that black box idea we discussed earlier. Even though we can see what ChatGPT produces, we don't fully understand the internal workings of those 175 billion neural network weights.
Right.
Does that lack of transparency make it harder to trust these systems?
It's definitely a valid concern if we don't fully understand how these systems arrive at their conclusions.
Right.
It can be difficult to assess the reliability or anticipate potential biases.
So knowing ChatGPT's limitations, what steps can we take to make sure AI is used responsibly?
Well, transparency is key. We need to continue researching how these systems work and developing methods for making their decision-making processes more understandable to humans.
So sort of like creating a user manual for the black box.
In a sense, yes. And just as we carefully test and regulate other powerful technologies,
Right.
we need to establish ethical guidelines and safeguards for AI development and deployment.
Makes sense. This has been an incredibly thought-provoking deep dive.
It has.
What are some of the biggest takeaways you hope our listener is walking away with?
Well, I hope they have a deeper appreciation for the power of AI, but also a healthy skepticism.
Okay.
ChatGPT is a remarkable tool, but it's not a panacea. It's important to understand its capabilities, its limitations, and its potential impact on society.
And perhaps most importantly, to remember that AI is ultimately a human creation.
Yes.
We have the responsibility to shape its development and ensure that it's used for good.
Absolutely. As we've seen with ChatGPT, AI has the potential to revolutionize the way we interact with information, with technology, and with each other.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to guide that revolution in a direction that benefits all of humanity.
So if ChatGPT can reveal hidden structures in language just by crunching data, what other undiscovered patterns might be waiting to be found in other areas of human knowledge? If we can harness AI responsibly, what incredible breakthroughs might be on the horizon? It seems like we're on the cusp of an exciting new era of discovery, and AI will undoubtedly play a major role in shaping that future.
It's an exciting time to be alive, that's for sure, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for AI and for us.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon with another fascinating exploration, so stay curious and keep those sources coming.